Welcome to this Windows and Computer channel, and this is the Tech News Update. We are Tuesday, June the 26th, 2018. And today, in our Tech News Update, we have India that has given banks 1 year to upgrade its ATMs because many of them, if not the majority of them, are still running Windows XP. So numerous, of course, devices might be at risk of security, and there's all sorts of little things because of this. You don't have to go to India to see this. I was at the local bank a couple of months back and noticed that a lot of the machines in the background were still running Windows XP. So it tells you that everywhere these machines are outdated, and banks make billions of dollars with our money but don't invest to make things more secure. Chinese tech giant Tencent has become a platinum member of the Linux Foundation. So, of course, this joins big companies like Google and Microsoft in here. It means that now it is in the board of directors, and Chinese companies, as they become bigger and more powerful, will want to join in everywhere where other companies are. And of course, this means that there must be big plans for Linux and Linux distros and all sorts of Linux devices. Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft, has been very quiet lately after he did say that, all the good and the bad things that he's done and his regrets. He has offered some advice to Google and Facebook over the weekend. And he said that basically there's increased distrust from users for Google and Facebook, just like Microsoft has lived through. And he says that his only thing that these companies need to do is, instead of fighting the government, they should work with the government. So maybe you have an old Pentium 3 machine, lying around somewhere, and it was running Windows 7. Well, because yes, Windows 7 can still run on Pentium 3 machines. Well, and suddenly you find out that it doesn't. It blue screens or gives you error messages. Well, you're out of luck. The latest updates to Windows 7 have actually broken the Windows 7 operating system for these old Pentium 3 machines because they don't have SSE2 technology on the CPU. And their latest versions of Windows 7 require this. So if you have such a device, Microsoft at one point said, well, we'll fix it. But now it has actually turned back and said, nope, we won't fix it. Just upgrade your machines. The creators of Have I Been Pwned website have actually been pretty much unite with Mozilla in actually creating something that is called Firefox Monitor. It will tell you if your accounts have been hacked or leaked and offer advice while you actually go onto these accounts and enter emails. It will start rolling next week to 250,000 users in the US for testing purposes, but it will probably be part of the Firefox browser later this year. An interesting study says that as long as humans are using technology, we will always have security threats, and there will always be some problems with data theft and protection, and it's due in part to the human nature of fear, curiosity, and that we just can't help to sometimes look, peek, or do something that we shouldn't. And that basically the study says we won't have better security 10 years or 20 years from now because the human nature is, and the humans are controlling these machines, it's just going to happen all the time. A study finds that by 2020 there will be more Internet of Things devices on this planet than humans. So if you think about the fact that we're like something like 7.5 billion people now on this planet, that means there will be more than 7.5 billion, and by 2020 probably more than 8 billion devices. And that means our world will be dominated by tech. Maybe when you think about it, maybe these are these devices that are going to attack us as a Terminator-like way. Older users of Mac OS are finding the hard way that the latest version of Google Chrome is now requiring that you run Mac OS 10.10 or later. So 10.10 is Yosemite, and basically it shows that they want you to actually move on to a newer operating system on Macs, which is sad because some Mac users are actually using older versions of Mac OS for simple reasons, because some hardware or some software won't run on later devices. So you're out of luck. It's official, WPA3, Wi-Fi Protected Access 3, starts rolling this week, and this is good news because this newer security is actually much better than WPA2. So basically, if you have a very a very latest router, something that's not very old, you might actually have it running and appearing through a firmware upgrade on the device. Of course, older devices will probably not upgrade to this, and you'll have to buy new devices at some point. Of course, on devices, on computers, tablets, and so on, it depends on, of course, the age of your device also. Might be a firmware or a software update, but it could be also something else. Might be a hardware update that needs to be required. WPA3 is going to up the security by actually doing something new. If, for example, in WPA2, hackers can actually just, send requests of trying to find passwords by sending and trying to log in with, millions and millions of passwords just by trying all the time. In WPA3, one attempt will scramble the data in a way that it will be unusable afterwards, meaning after just one try, you won't have any more chances. So this is, kind of interesting because it will mean that things might be more secure. And also it will have a new feature for Internet of Things devices that are kind of difficult sometimes to connect because they have a very small screen to enter these little passwords or no screens at all. Well, now you'll be able to connect these Internet of Things devices using a QR code scanned on your phone. Well, there's a great example of how governments can manipulate the internet. Venezuela is in turmoil, of course, and things are not actually getting better as time goes on. And one of the first things that they did was control the news media by blocking many news media outlets on the web. Well, now it blocked the TOR network. Why? Because on the TOR network you can actually send a lot of information encrypted in a way that nobody knows what you're sending out. So they know that, well, let's now block that part of the internet. Although we don't hear really much about it, denial of service attacks or distributed denial of service attacks are up 16% from last year and are getting way more sophisticated than before. And many new measures are, of course, helping out so that there's no total internet blackout. But as things get, worse and eat up, we're kind of wondering up to what point some big internet outage might happen. The new list of the top 500 supercomputers is out, and there's good news. The US has regained its #1 spot with the Summit supercomputer that is run jointly by IBM and the Department of Energy. The bad news is that China now has 206 supercomputers versus 83 for the United States, which basically means China is far ahead of everybody else in supercomputing. And this was the Tech News Update for Tuesday, June the 26th, 2018. You enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.